Welcome back to our channel 217 Prince White. The chapter begins. The skies churn dark and heavy, a storm of mana looming over the shadow dungeon. Beneath the oppressive weight of that sky, Suho's ragged breaths echoed, sweat dripping from his chin as his muscles trembled with exertion. His fists clenched, body screaming in pain, but his voice remained steady as he counted. 98, 99. With a final, guttural roar, he pushed his body past its limit. 100. An eruption of power burst forth, shadows whipping violently around him, cracking the earth beneath his feet. The system's cold declaration followed, its golden frame materializing before his eyes. Daily quest, trained to become a formidable combatant, has been completed. Another window appeared instantly, its glow demanding his attention. Notice, you have received a reward for completing a quest. Check your reward. But Suho was already collapsing backward, chest heaving. His companions moved in swiftly. Amit's hulking frame loomed protectively, while Gray barked sharply, alert and loyal. You were struggling so much at first, Amit rumbled, his deep voice echoing like stone grinding against stone. Yet now, you're able to fully carry out my training alone. Suho managed a weak smile, pushing himself up despite the pain radiating through his arms. At this point, my body feels heavy and uncomfortable if I don't do them. Good work, Amit. From nearby, Essel's eyes watched him closely. Her thoughts stirred as she regarded him. The young monarch has changed so much since I last saw him, not only his body or mana, but even the way he carries himself. Suho shook the dirt from his clothes, his resolve cutting sharper than ever. Then, I got stuff to do outside. See you. Essel tilted her head, her gravelly tone questioning. You're leaving already, young monarch? Suho adjusted his stance, his eyes fixed forward. Yeah, I think I'm going to get busier from now on. 'Cause I'm going to remove a field-type dungeon. Essel's eyes widened slightly, her voice betraying a flicker of surprise. A field-type dungeon? The scene shifted to the past, Suho standing tall within a darkened council room, the shadows of the Hunters Association looming around him. His voice was steady, unwavering as he explained the conversation. I had a talk with the higher-ups of the Hunters Association yesterday. As a way of preventing star power factories from being created as well, I asked them to cooperate with me in removing the field-type dungeons in Korea. They were exasperated, saying the other guilds would object. The memory sharpened, Suho's words cutting through the smoky air of that meeting. But I made a condition and was promised their cooperation. The portal world opened with a dark, ominous light as Suho stepped forward, determination burning in his gaze. So I'm going to have to try my best to fulfill that condition, he muttered, his voice resolute. From behind him, Essel rushed forward, her face filled with urgency. Let me help you then. You're going to call us too, right? She pleaded, her eyes shimmering with fiery resolve. Gray at her side barked fiercely. Suho gave her a steady look and nodded. Got it. With that promise, he turned and stepped into the swirling darkness of the gate. Essel reached her hand out toward the fading silhouette. I'll call you guys when I need help. Suho's voice echoed back as the portal swallowed him whole. Young monarch, Essel whispered under her breath, watching the vortex dissipate into silence. The scene shifted to a new battleground, a sprawling space, vibrant yet ominous. D-rank field-type dungeon. Catchison Field, the notification announced, heralding the beginning of yet another trial. In the dungeon, murmurs filled the air. Miho whispered among themselves, her voice sharp with doubt and curiosity. Just what could our guild masters be thinking? Miho questioned, her tone edged with frustration. To think they'd suddenly hand over the ownership of all field-type dungeons to one individual, especially when they know how much it affects guild earnings. A hunter's eyes narrowed as he hissed the name. Who the hell is that hunter called Sung Suho supposed to be anyway? Beside him, Miho's voice echoed. And it's not like he's making us A ranks or higher to participate. He only called us to fill up the spots for clearing the D-rank dungeon. Sung Jihun's grin widened. I've been rather piqued by him. A hunter who can strike, mine, and haul everything all by himself. Aren't you curious? But suspicion remained heavy. Must be an exaggeration, Miho replied, crossing her arms with disdain. Her thoughts twisted darkly. Even father, getting all energized in those so-called memories of the past world. Nearby, Jehun listened quietly, his expression unreadable. A hunter who levels, huh? He thought. Let's see if Guild Master Choi Jong-in's words are true or not. From the shadows, the apostle's golden eyes gleamed, unblinking, watching everything in silence. The ground trembled violently, a quake echoing through the mountains. Hunters on standby turned sharply, eyes narrowing. Could this quake be? Miho muttered. It hasn't even been an hour since he entered, Jehun replied, disbelief in his tone. Their answer came swiftly. Out of the dust and chaos, Suho emerged, his figure steady, his aura commanding. Behind him, shadows swirled like an army of the dead, their presence suffocating yet awe-inspiring. Looks like I kept you all waiting, Suho said, his voice calm, almost casual. He explained without pause. I was able to take down the boss pretty fast, but it took me some time to mine and carry out the essence stones. His words rang with certainty, the weight of his strength undeniable. The hunters stared, stunned. I want to go through 3 more places today, Suho continued, his tone firm and commanding. So how about we move to the next field-type dungeon? Murmurs spread among them, disbelief and awe intertwining. Even if it may have been a D-rank dungeon, it only took him an hour by himself, Jehun thought, his face paling. Just who is this guy? The question hung heavily in the air. Meanwhile, back among the guild masters, unease grew. They walked in tense silence, their thoughts filled with doubt. Hunters, entrusting all the field-type dungeons our guild's own. Was that really the right decision? Jong-in questioned grimly. Choi's gaze hardened. An endless fount of essence stones and materials from magic beasts. As he continued, Hunter Beck's voice echoed. You really are the incarnation of greed, Guild Master Choi Jong-in. If the world were destroyed by the Iterum, there'd be no value in these field-type dungeons or money. A heavy pause followed before Choi spoke, voice low. That being said, it was surprising. The person who most enthusiastically recommended entrusting the dungeons to him would be the master of the guild that possesses the most. I suppose you must have felt a bit sorry for him. Lim's voice broke the silence, firm yet heavy with conviction. He said that the factories to create star power were discovered in field-type dungeons. I'd do anything to eliminate those stimulants that left Lee Min-sung in that state. But doubt still lingered in the room. Choi muttered, I shadowed. But what if, just by chance, those outer world invaders are the same kind of breed as the monsters back then? Would there really be anything we could do? A dark image filled their minds. Towering beasts, monstrous figures, claws dripping with malice, eyes glowing with hatred. The weight of that question pressed against them like a curse, leaving silence in its wake. A heavy silence lingered, broken only by the slow exhale of Hunter Beck with fiery eyes. His gaze burned with unease, shadows of doubt flickering across his face. You're all getting quite concerned, came the deep voice of Wu Jinchul as he walked ahead, his back broad and commanding. That's unlike you. The guild masters turned to him, their expressions sharp, as if waiting for some reassurance. Chairman Wu Jinchul, one of them called carefully. But Jinchul didn't slow his stride. His words were cold and resolute. Aren't you aware by now? This isn't something we can avoid, even if we wanted to. His conviction struck the others into silence. The weight of his words was undeniable. With a calm certainty, Jinchul's voice deepened. Suho will be able to do it. Yet, in the shadows of their minds, doubts lingered. The dissolution of guilds, the surrender of precious dungeons, it was no small matter. Opposition would rise like a tide. Hunters who knew nothing of the past would never believe in an invasion from outer space. It won't be easy to persuade people like them, Hunter Choi murmured. Persuade, Suho repeated, his thoughts racing. A flicker of an idea lit within him. At the long table, eyes turned toward the unspoken possibility. The faintest smile curved the lips of the one who had realized it first. There's one thing that comes to mind. His tone was low, almost reverent. National levels. The name alone carried the weight of legend. Images flashed before them. Monsters of strength not bound by nations, but rivaling them. Thomas Andre, the colossal power of the USA. Liu Jigang, the blade of China. Siddharth, the indomitable force of India. Hunters who stood apart, unmatched, commanding the awe of the world. If Suho were to become one of them, Chairman Wu whispered, trembling with the enormity of the thought. That would be his true power of persuasion. And in that moment, the words echoed like prophecy. National level. The room falls into silence as Suho's voice cuts through the tension. In that case, 1 month from now, his gaze hardens with unwavering determination. I'll become a hunter powerful enough to persuade any other hunter. The declaration echoes in the chamber, leaving the gathered hunters in awe. Wu Jinchul steps forward, his presence commanding respect. So let's just focus on our battles right now. His footsteps resound as he opens the door, his expression resolute. Inside the vast chamber, the glow of the council lights cast long shadows across the faces of those gathered. Representatives from every corner of the land sat in solemn silence, their expressions a mix of caution and resolve. From the Azure Cloud Guild of the Yangtze region to the Wam Guild of Yangdong County and the Daesong and Dacheng guilds of the Hozhou region, all had come together, voices united in this rare moment of agreement. Their decision was clear, their purpose unwavering. For Suho's growth, the words echoed through the hall, not as a simple declaration, but as a vow to nurture the boy who carried within him the legacy of power and the burden of destiny. Meanwhile, in the depths of a dungeon, Suho steps through with fierce resolve, his fist gleaming with power as monsters swarm around him. His movements are sharp, each strike unleashing waves of destructive energy. Shadows rise and fall at his command, tearing through the battlefield with merciless precision. The ground quakes as Suho leads his army of summoned warriors through the dungeon, leaving devastation in their wake. 2 hunters stand in disbelief as they witness the overwhelming sight. Hunter Beck Miho, are my eyes working properly? Jehun mutters, astonished. Beck Miho narrows her eyes, her lips tightening. That's my line. Within 2 short days, the impossible has been achieved. Suho stands tall, his shadow soldiers looming behind him like an army of darkness. Miho's calm voice carries the weight. In just 2 days, the total number of field-type dungeons I've cleared and finished mining is 2 D ranks, 4 C ranks, and 2 B ranks. The hunters gape in disbelief. One of them clenches his fists, his admiration tinged with fear. Not only is it impressive he did it all by himself, most of all, his voice trails off, unable to fully capture the enormity of Suho's achievement. I can feel his mana growing every time he clears a dungeon. His gaze sharpened, fixed on Suho, who stood surrounded by his looming shadow soldiers. So there really is a hunter who can level up. Suho clenched his fist, purple energy coursing through his veins, the crackle of power alive in his palm. The system's truth resonated within him. The metric for measuring mana rank is MP, and mine, it's rising. His eyes narrowed, a steady realization anchoring him. Shadow authority feels easier to wield now that my mana has grown. From behind, Baru's wings fluttered lightly, his loyal voice eager to serve. Young monarch, may I help? He asked, bowing deeply. Allow me to compare your mana with the hunter over there, the one who bears the rank of S. Suho's hand rose calmly, dismissing him. It's okay, Baru, he said firmly, his eyes fixed on the faint golden aura radiating from hunter nearby. I feel it. I already know. From a distance, the apostle stared back at him, watching, calculating. But his gaze pierced like a blade. The cavern grew still, each breath filled with unspoken tension. Later, the quiet of the night returned. Under a deep indigo sky, Suho stepped into his home. The shadows receded, leaving him in the stillness of the ordinary. The faint creak of the door, the sound of his footsteps against the floor, mundane, yet grounding. He slipped off his shoes, pausing for a moment, lost in thought. Silence lingered. His gaze hardened, but only faintly. He walked deeper into the dim light of the house, shadow trailing closely at his heels. The air shifted, heavy, suffocating, like the silence before a storm. Suho's eyes locked onto the shadow creeping from the corner of the room. From the darkness, a figure emerged, radiating malice cloaked in red flames of murderous intent. A wicked grin stretched across the man's face, sharp and cruel, as his deep voice echoed. You're finally here, sung Suho. It was Huang Dongsu, an S-rank villain, his presence alone enough to twist the air with hostility. His massive hand reached forward, not as a greeting, but as a declaration of violence. The confrontation Suho could not avoid had finally begun. The shattered photo frame lies broken on the floor, the glass glittering like sharp fragments of memory. A cold voice sneers in the dim light. What a shame. If your family had arrived first, I was planning on making them go through the same thing I did. From the shadows, Huang Dongsu steps forward, his eyes burning with murderous intent, his heavy boots grinding the photo deeper into the shards. He spreads his arms, muscles coiled with sinister power. You're finally here, Sung Suho. Suho's expression darkens, his jaw tightening as an icy rage flickers in his eyes. The air vibrates with tension, a predator and prey circling in silence. Yet it's unclear who is which. Dongsu's smirk widens, revealing the twisted pride of an S-rank who knows his own strength. This guy is, Suho's thoughts sharpen. His gaze narrows, recognition cutting through him. The S-rank awakener. Huang Dongsu. The memory of Wu's words surfaces. He's the biological younger brother of the Jisan prison incident's ringleader, Huang Dongsuk. Rumors say he orchestrated everything to free him. Huang Dongsu is one of the strongest S-ranks in Korea. The warning echoes in Suho's mind. Run if you ever encounter him. Dongsu chuckles, his sunglasses catching the faint glow of his aura. His presence feels suffocating, pressing down like a storm. But Suho stands firm. Are you here to avenge your brother? But what now? I'm not the one who killed him. Your brother was killed by Kang Tae-shik. Dongsu's grin freezes, then twists darker. He mutters under his breath, astonished. What's with this kid? He even knows about Kang Tae-shik. His laugh echoes, vicious and sharp. I don't care. I didn't come to avenge my brother. I was just pissed that someone like you sabotaged my plan. Suho's voice cuts through, low and unwavering. You're beyond saving. Let's move somewhere else, Huang Dongsu. But Dongsu's body ignites with crimson energy, his aura erupting like a wildfire. His fists flare with killing intent as he steps forward. Why should I listen to you? He roars. In an instant, Suho's fiery strike collides with a wall, the wall trembling under the shockwave. The building rattles, red light bursting outward like an alarm to the world. Two overwhelming forces locked in combat, and the city trembling under their fury. The tension in the air thickened as Suho's calm voice broke the silence. My uncle happens to be quite the worrywart. It won't even take 5 minutes for the security company and hunters to gather here. Are you still not going to move? Huang Dongsu's lips twisted into a mocking grin, his eyes glowing with malice. Shitty brat. The scene shifted to the night sky above the sprawling building complex, its walls trembling faintly from the growing clash within. Inside the ruined hall, Suho and Huang Dongsu faced each other like predators about to strike. Dongsu adjusted his stance, his tone laced with cruel amusement. Seeing how you aren't withering before me, the talk of you going through a reawakening must be true. Did you get S-rank or something? Suho's gaze sharpened, his voice steady, cutting through the tension. I won't know until I get reassessed. But I wanted to ask, how did you obtain the star fragments? Dongsu's eyes gleamed dangerously, his laughter echoing in the hollow space. What? You need a stimulant. Why should I tell you? That stuff's tough to get nowadays. But Suho's thoughts raced as his eyes narrowed. He's not getting them from the Iterum. Dongsu's aura flared, his words dripping with arrogance as crimson energy erupted around him. Only weak bastards rely on things like stimulants. You must be real excited after reawakening as an S-rank by sheer luck. But let me teach you a lesson since you seem so unaware. Not all S-ranks are the same. His body ignited in a blazing storm of red energy as he charged forward, the ground cracking beneath his feet. Suho's eyes followed his movement, his heart steady. He looks much stronger compared to Li Min-sung. In a way, this would be my first time fighting in S-rank. Clenching his fist, Suho's determination surged. I want to see. Lightning crackled around his arm as he launched himself forward. His strike aimed directly at the rampaging Huang Dongsu. The clash of their power split the air, shaking the building with the force of their collision. The ground split open with a thunderous crack as Huang Dongsu's heel smashed down, sending jagged rocks and shockwaves flying. Suho was hurled backward, his body colliding against stone with bone-rattling force. Gritting his teeth, he let out a sharp gasp. Dongsu's eyes gleamed red with violent delight, his voice cutting through the chaos. Are you seriously trying to brawl with me when you're just a summoner type? Bring out that dark human, or whatever it is. The S-rank villain charged again, fists glowing with crimson rage, the air trembling with each step. Suho steadied his stance, watching every movement, refusing to falter. The stone shattered. Walls cracked. Their collision shook the building. But Suho stood his ground, his fists clenched, his aura blazing. He didn't answer. His silence was defiance. Huang's monstrous figure loomed through the dust, his red eyes glowing with malice. But when Suho's strike finally connected, it was met with nothing but a cruel grin. That tickled. With savage speed, Dongsu countered, his arm a blur as it smashed forward, his power overwhelming, his killing intent suffocating. The room became a cage of destruction, echoing with the roar of clashing blows. The ground cracked and trembled beneath the force of their clash, dust and debris scattering into the air. Huang Dongsu sneered, his voice dripping with mockery as his strikes pressed harder. Are you really trying to beat me with pure strength? Even if you used every ability you had, that would be impossible. Suho gritted his teeth, every impact sending shockwaves through his arms. Inwardly, he admitted it. He could certainly feel the overwhelming difference in raw strength between them. But then, his eyes narrowed, recalling a memory etched deep within him. But he steadied himself, body glowing faintly with shadowed energy. The memory of standing against something far greater, far more terrifying than this man, burned in his mind. Broken walls, collapsing towers, the suffocating presence of monarchs. Compared to that, this pressure felt hollow. I don't feel the same pressure I felt back then. Dongsu lunged forward, his fist a crimson blur of destruction. Suho braced. Dongsu's lips curled into a vicious grin. Must be real cocky to think about other stuff in the middle of this fight, huh? The two figures crashed into each other, the battlefield quaking with each strike. High above, the night sky seemed to split open, the storm of their battle flashing across the darkened horizon. The night was split by the rumble of destruction, dust and debris clouding the battleground. From below, Dongsu's glowing eyes widened. You bastard, when did you bring out your weapon? From the smoke, Suho emerged, blade in hand, shadowed power whispering at the edge of his aura. The battlefield grew tense, silence swallowing the chaos for just a moment, until the voice of Baru echoed softly from the shadows. Are you okay, young monarch? Suho exhaled slowly, sweat beating down his temple. His eyes locked on his opponent. Looks like it's still a bit difficult to fight an enhancement type S rank without any of my abilities. As Dongsu's form advanced through the dust, Suho clenched his fist, his mind sharp. Honestly, I'd like to invest all of my save points into strength, but since I have to use them elsewhere. His voice trailed, his gaze steady, as the ground beneath him trembled once again. The battlefield trembled as he straightened, his aura flaring to life. Then, Suho's voice cut through the silence, his shadow-armored form stepping forward. Let's get serious now. The ground exploded as his power surged. A colossal shadow armor wrapped around him, gleaming with otherworldly energy. His voice echoed. Shall we start round 2, Huang Dongsu? Then calm notifications echoed in the void. Shadow item. Minotaur helm, creation grade, rare. Shadow item. Hera, creation grade, heroic. Shadow item. Cockatrice pauldron, creation grade, rare. Shadow item. Crimson mane cuirass, creation grade, rare. Shadow item. Lizardmen boots, creation grade, rare. His status window blazed into existence. Name, Sung Suho. Level, 42. Strength, 185, plus 20. Health, 341, plus 10. Agility, 100, plus 20. Intelligence, 71, plus 10. Sense, 94, plus 15. Suho's eyes glowed as he clenched his fist, darkness swirling tighter around him. I'll fight you with my full powers now. Dongsu scoffed, his arrogance flaring. You think you can beat me just by putting on all that crap? But in his mind thought raced. Where did those items even come from? But his words faltered as a dreadful ripple of darkness rolled through the air. His pupils shrank. That dark ripple, it's memories of past surgeries in his mind. On top of a building, Jin Wu's calm voice pierced the suffocating silence. What about greed? Since you died being greedy. His gaze sharpened, commanding the shadows themselves. What do you think? Do you like it? Huang Dongsu. Then, Beside him, a monstrous shadow loomed, its form twisting, radiating deathly power. Half of Dongsu's body lit up in eerie purple flames as the shadow's skull-like face mirrored his own. The once proud S-Rank's breath hitched, his arrogance cracking. His name echoed in the void, twisted and swallowed by shadow. Huang Dongsu. Chapter end here. For more, like, share, and subscribe.